isn't the best down here.
Here's the password here. Password's password.
Thank you.
Voice.
What? Capital P?
No, not case sensitive.
Oh, Lord. Password. There we go.
Now enjoy the show, The Voice 17104, a station for everyone.
Welcome to Did You Know? Podcast, your host, Richard Utley, dedicated to the African American viewers. The program is aimed to celebrate African American culture and deal with the real and relevant topics that impact the everyday lives of the African American community through frank and insightful dialogue with local and national influencers. Every day, there is another horrible, discouraging news story, directly or indirectly, impacting African Americans. But we need to look at the shining stars in the galaxy of Black America. It is time to tell our story.
Well, welcome to another Did You Know? Well, we got a lot to talk about this evening. You know, when I first started this program, Did You Know, I pretty well said the reason I started it a few years ago, because there's a lot of things that we don't know. A lot of things we don't do no research, and we allow other people to define us. Ha ha ha. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have no choice now. It's on us. I was hoping it wasn't coming, but it's here. So programs like this, we're going to have to step up to the plate and help tell our story and our narrative. As I've always told you, one of the things, we're going to start with history. Ha ha ha. We're going to start with history because now you realize we're going to have to tell our own history. You realize now we're going to have to tell it ourselves because obviously it's trying to get wiped away. As I said to you on all the programs, I like to throw out names so that you can do your own research. So what I've decided to do tonight is I'm going to throw some names out there, and I'm going to always throw some names out there for you to figure out who they are. Who's Paul Robeson? I'm not going to tell you who he is. Find out who he is. Marian Anderson. Find out who she is. Some of you say you play tennis, you do all that. But if I ask you who Arthur Ashe is, you don't know who that person is. Or if I say to you somebody like Al Green, if you're in the music, you may not know who that person is. If I say to you things like Muddy Waters, you don't know who that person is. Or if I say Bill Pickett, you don't know who that person is. And the reason I think that that's very important is that we have to now tell our story from the beginning to the end. The other night I had a conversation with some young people, and we were talking about history. And they had the audacity to tell me, basically, they wanted to move forward. They did not have any history of where we come from and how we got to where we are. I am so troubled by that. And now we're seeing people trying to make sure that we don't. And we're crazy enough, we have crazy enough people out there to really think that. So you get, I saw it on TV, you get a guy on there to play basketball. He never cared who the first black basketball player was in the NFL. Or they may never care who was the first black player in the NFL. Or nobody really cares. You need to care. Half of you walk around here with Alabama shirts on. You're for Alabama. But do you know when Alabama got their first black player? Wasn't that long ago.
Right.
And you need to know that. You need to know who the Trailblazers are. You need to know who they are. Why? Because it's important. You got to know where you came from before you know where you're going. And so I am going to continue to harp on this and harp on this and harp on this. But now you're in a situation that they don't want you to know your history. So now you're in trouble. So let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of work to do, and we're going to do it. So I want you to start getting those books out, start reading those books, start telling stories about our people. Tell the good stories. Tell the stories about how our forefathers struggled. We can talk about slavery, it's okay. And we can talk about where we are now. But guess what? I'm telling you this today. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. I'm here to tell you. Okay, I'll throw some things out. Ha ha. Project 25. What is Project 25? You know what it is. So now you were told what it is, but now you're feeling it. Think about it. Now you're feeling it. You see what different things that's going on. You know, you take policies aside at universities must continue to advocate for students. You got to have universities and students whoever to engage, whoever to have conversation, who can change. I was fortunate. I attended the University of Pittsburgh, and I was the chairman of the Black Action Society. And we came together on a journey to try to make the university a much more better place, not only for us, but for all students. All students. Sometimes people get confused. It wasn't about, did we have an agenda? Yeah, we had an agenda. But at the same time, we had our own agenda, but it was to bridge the university together. So, ladies and gentlemen, you better look that up, because some things are happening. As I said earlier, I hope everybody realizes that scrubbing historical references from sites is no different than burning books.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say it again to you. I hope everybody realizes that scrubbing historical references from the sites is no different than burning the books. Okay, history. March from Selma to Montgomery. What is that about? You figure it out. It was March 7th, 1965 was called Bloody Sunday. Think about it. Well, as you can see, there's a movement on in terms of where we are and where we're going. I would recommend two things for you today on this program. I hope some of you decide to go back and read some of Martin Luther King's writings. Paul's letter to American Christians, I think you should take a look at that. And I think you should go back and look at I Have a Dream speech in 1963. And I think when you read it, you'll realize 1963 and 2025, I think you can draw some parables to it. And why am I saying that? Because I think we have to kickstart who we are and where we're going. Because if we don't, it's shame on us. You see this movement to talk about the African American Museum that we all were proud of, and some of us had the opportunity to tour it. Some people still want to tour it. So all of a sudden now, it's become an issue. It's become an issue. Why has it become an issue? America, you got to deal with all of history. You can't whitewash history. You got to deal with it all. And so I hope people like Tim Scott, I hope people that's in leadership, especially leaders, speak up about the museums. But I will say this to you today. We have an obligation to support the African American Museum. We have an obligation to make sure that it stays. We have to have the obligation to make sure it survives. So if the federal government wants to try to get rid of it, they can't get rid of it. You may always be able to get rid of a building, but you can't get rid of legacies. You can't get rid of Sojourner Truth. You can't get rid of Marion Tagman. You can't do that. So I'm just saying that all of you think about it. History is here for good. You cannot wash it away. And I hope that our leaders step up to the plate. Democrats, Republicans, Independents. It's not about party politics. It's about the right thing to do. We need to have a museum of the Holocaust. We need to have that, so you'll know what took place. You need to have what our journey was. Well, you may need to have the journey of the Asians or whoever, because they all had a history. And we should know everybody's history, because I think that makes us brighter, and I think that makes us smarter. You know, this whole thing about diversity has always had merit. Regrettably now, the President of the United States, who appears to believe that diversity equals inclusion, has no value. How did he come up with that? I don't know how he came up with that. But we should not allow it, because we need to have inclusion. We need to talk about things that we want to do and the things that we should do. Why? Because it makes us better people. It makes us better for as society is going. So my point to you is this, ladies and gentlemen, because I brought it. Ha ha ha. Way back, remember? The Green Book. Yep, the Green Book way back when people could only go to certain places, restaurants, hotels, and whatever. That's the only places they could go and they could stay. Well, we might have, the rate we're going, we might have to get back a new Green Book. But if we have to go back and get a new Green Book, then we need to work together. So I'm going to say this to you, that we got to work together. And before I bring my guest on, because I'm going to tie it all in together, because I have something else to say, is that we got to work together, all of us. And if we work together, we become stronger. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say something tonight, and a lot of you are not going to like what I'm going to say, but this is about politics. This is about politics. I am so tired of us always finding excuses and reasoning why we can't do. Hypothetical. We all know on this country there's a movement to make it harder to vote. ID. This. Why are we fighting it? We need to figure out how to make it work. All this energy that we're spending fighting it, why? When you go in the store now and you buy cigarettes or alcohol or all these other things, you have to have ID. So you got to have ID for voting. So then what our job is to make sure they're prepared so they can vote. Stop spending all this capital on fighting it. You're not going to win it. Ladies and gentlemen, we ain't going to win it. Why spend the energy? So instead of spending the energy saying, oh, it's unfair, oh, this ain't right, oh, this ain't right, I'm saying, okay, let's play their game. All right. So if that means that we have to drive somebody to fill out a form this way or fill out a form this, if we have to help this person get their birth certificate, or we have to have, let's spend capital that we know that we can fight. No longer. We got to fight, ladies and gentlemen. I know you don't want to believe that, but we in a fight now. We ain't got no choice.
Yeah.
So stop complaining and crying and whining about it ain't fair. Life is not fair. Life is not fair. So we got to get up now, pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, and let's deal with it. Let's deal with the issues. Okay, you want to put boulders or boundaries up? Okay, we need to figure out how to move the boulders or how to jump over. We have to figure it out. There's no reason for us to continue just to keep saying we're going to have rallies, we're going to have signs saying it ain't fair, it ain't fair, it ain't fair. But when you really look at it, if you really look at the perspective of like ID, you have to have ID for mostly everything anyway.
Right.
So you might as well just go ahead and get ID to vote. But we need to make sure that we help those people get the ID to vote. So instead of burning up that gas, going down there, picking around the capitals or wherever you go, let's use that money to get those people to what they need to do so that we can fight the war. Well, as I just said earlier, we're in a new situation now, and it's probably going to be more than we've ever said before, and that is how are we going to deal with all these rollbacks? I think we're going to have to step up the plate. I think we're going to have to talk about black entrepreneurship. I think we have to talk about black businesses. And I think that we're going to have to support them to make them work. Because the rate we're going, I don't think you're going to have a choice. We have to learn to turn setbacks to power plays. That's my new thing. Turning setbacks into power plays. And I think we can do that. I think that we can start to look at wealth. I think that we need to start to gather wealth. I think we have to just change the game plan. So in saying all that, I have a young man on. I have bringing on Isaac here, and Isaac and he has another partner. They just bought a restaurant in Harrisburg, Crawdaddy's. They are the new owners of Crawdaddys, and because they're the new owners of Crawdaddy's, I decided to have them on because I wanted to know what made them decide that they want to take on a restaurant, say in Harrisburg. But I think I believe that we ain't got no choice, so we're going to have to develop a lot of entrepreneurs in many things. Restaurants, beauty shops, barber shops, auto mechanics, drugstores, whatever. I think we don't have a choice. So, Isaac, Sloan, please tell the audience who you are.
How you doing? My name is Isaac Sloan. I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, born and raised. I went to college right outside of Philadelphia at Cheney University, the very first historical black college or university. I ended up going to Cheney because my grandmother ended up going to Cheney State at the time. And I was always talking to her about the different challenges and struggles that it was being a black woman back then, and actually being able to go to college and get an education. So she inspired me a lot, and she's actually the reason why I ended up going to Cheney. After I left Cheney, I went to the military, and I was in the military for 8 years. Officially got out in 2021. Since then, obviously been working, and then we had the opportunity as far as this entrepreneurial journey, and my business partner and myself, we thought about it, brainstormed a couple different ideas. He has a lot of experience in the restaurant industry, so he's been very instrumental as far as making sure that we got the right ideas, making sure that we have the right training for the staff, things along those lines. So big kudos to him. We've been leaning on him as far as a lot of the direction and different things as far as the vision that we see taking it into the future. We just had a very successful Caribbean night on Saturday that we got really good reviews for. People enjoyed themselves, and we're looking to bring a lot of different things to the city. So that's just a little bit of background about myself.
Well, tell my audience who your partner is, because he was supposed to be here tonight, but something came up.
Yes.
So
yes.
would you like to say who he is?
My partner is Bradley Wainwright. Very instrumental in the success as far as everything that we have going on. Very knowledgeable as well in the restaurant industry and taking things from one level to the next. So big kudos to him. That's a good friend of mine, my brother pretty much. Known him for 15 plus years. His son's my nephew, so.
Okay. Question I have for you. Taking over a restaurant also means adapting to an already established business. So when you saw that, how did you feel that somebody knowing a restaurant quality, how do you see your image flipping it over?
Absolutely. Well, one of the goals that we had within the next few years was possibly purchasing a baby boomer business. So, as you know, this is kind of the age of the baby boomers, and they're starting to retire and things along those lines. So we started working with Mr. Crawford and Miss Diane sometime last year, doing different events, and that kind of led up to having this opportunity. They've also been very instrumental in our success as well. Just a lot of the coaching, a lot of different things, a lot of introductions, networking, things along those lines, and just meeting people and just really putting us in a position to be successful. They're going to be helping us out throughout this journey, even when they move and things like that. So love them. They've been very amazing, and I look forward to working with them and seeing what the future holds.
Okay, so you saw this as an opportunity. You guys seen this as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
And you saw this as an opportunity because of why?
To be completely honest, with the entrepreneurial journey, that's really one of the ways I best know as far as establishing that generational wealth. I've always been taught a full-time job. People, those owners or those business owners that you work for pretty much pay you what it is to kind of make you feel comfortable. Sometimes you got to get uncomfortable in order to grow, and you got to make sacrifices for your family to make sure that you start to establish that generational wealth. So this is just the beginning. It's going to be a long journey, but I never back down from a challenge.
So so you gave me the opportunity. So since you just bought this, what are there has to be some risk there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you started to put this together, what kind of risk did you kind of think about, and before you said, okay, I'm going full?
Mm-hmm. See, there's always risk with anything that you do. So we, I feel as though when you put your mind together, and as long as the positives outweigh the negatives, and the only real way to measure that is your mindset. A lot of people think negatively. They think about problems. I'm very solution oriented, so I don't expect people to come to me with a problem without presenting a solution to that problem, because I'm not the type of person to come to you with a problem without having a couple solutions that I had already thought of. So.
Okay, what is I know you did your demographics. What is your target audience that you want to come to your restaurant?
Our target audience is pretty much everybody, to be completely honest with you. You know, as you know, Harrisburg is a very gentrified city. I work in banking full time, so I see a large influx of different populations: the Hispanic population, the Haitian and Creole population, a little bit of everything. And one thing that can bring anybody together is food. I don't know about y'all, but I travel to try different foods and to try different things, different cuisines. I've been to different countries and, you know, try different delicacies that might not look the best, but they're banging. So we're looking forward to introducing a lot of those different cuisines to a lot of these different demographics. One thing that I will always recommend is our gator nuggets. They are delicious. I feel like you can't really find anything better than that around.
Okay, since you're talking about menus, let's talk about menus. Okay, since you now own Crawdaddy's, is the menu going to sort of stay the same, or do you have a new creation of a menu? Could you tell the audience, now it's yours, what's your vision in terms of Crawdaddy's menu opposed to what it was with the previous owner?
Absolutely. The vision is kind of still the same. We're going to keep the food around the same. We're obviously going to give our different chefs room to be creative and do like chef specials, things along those lines on certain weeks. But
We have it up on there.
Awesome. And we might be condensing the menu a little bit. We want to figure out, you know, what all the best sellers are, things along those lines, and just improve it. It's all about growth. It's all about, you know, sometimes you got to get uncomfortable in order to grow. So if we need to make some changes or additions to the menu, then we'll make sure that we do that. But, you know, at the end of the day, the goal is to be successful. So we want to hear back from the people. We want to do different surveys. Like anytime I'm there, I'm talking to different people, especially if they're new. You know, just introducing myself and, you know, seeing how the service was, seeing how the food was, and, you know, making sure that they tell a friend to follow our social media pages. We're looking to really build out our calendar as far as like different events. We have a continuous calendar that a weekly schedule that we started to implement. So one of the other things that we're doing is looking to partner with different sports organizations. Growing up here in Harrisburg, I always played a lot of sports, did travel and things like that. So one of the things that I realized, that I had realized growing up was that certain people might not have the resources in order to be able to pay for like registration and things along those lines, or uniform, equipment rental, anything like that. So one thing that we started to implement, or that we're in the process of implementing, is partner with some of these organizations for our Kids Eat Free night, which will be Tuesdays. So Tuesdays, kids eat free, one kid per adult entree, eat free on Tuesdays. And in the future, whenever we start to launch this, whatever sports organization that they mention that we're partnered with, we're going to start to donate back towards that. Sheesh, let me get some of this water. Donate back towards that organization to kind of help out with some of those fees and things along those lines.
Okay, so let's go back to, so you talked about the menu and you're going to relook at the menu and stuff. So let me ask you this. If somebody that went to Crawdaddy's before and now they go, will they see any difference, or is it pretty well the same?
They'll see it's pretty much the same. What we're trying to do is kind of keep the consistency. You know, one thing that food critics or foodies love when they visit a place is the consistency of the deliciousness of the food. Like, they don't want to go one time and come back the next time and it's like nothing seasoned, or, you know, things along those lines. So we're working on really making sure that we keep that consistency, just updating the recipe books, making sure that everybody's following that recipe so we can that way we can keep that consistency.
Let me ask you some other questions. Okay, so you talked about that, so I guess you're going to have different specials.
Yes, sir. Yep, we're going to be implementing different chef specials, just allowing them the room for some creativity. More so, it'll probably be like earlier in the week. as you see on the screen right now, we have our R&B brunches. Saturday was a hit. It was the first R&B brunch that we had since we've taken over. The DJ was doing his thing. Shout out DJ Ty Smooth. He was doing his thing as far as the R&B vibes. Had people up dancing out their seat. The mimosas were flowing. Everybody was enjoying the food, enjoying the vibes, enjoying the ambiance. So, we're just honestly looking to hit the ground running and keep going.
So therefore, you have your things up here now. So these are the things that you're trying to do. You're trying to grown and sexy. So you're trying to, you're trying to, I guess the word service everybody that come there, and I guess you're trying to create a whole different atmosphere.
Absolutely, we're looking to create a unique atmosphere. Our nightlife is pretty much 25 and up. We're looking to become the official pregame spot for Harrisburg for the older crowd. Pretty much, the 25 and up crowd. Come out, enjoy yourself. Crawdaddy's has never had anything crazy really happen over there. It's always been a place that you can go for some upscale, high class vibes. So we're looking to keep it like that. Also, with us being open now from 9 to 12 on Friday and Saturday, and also being able to have like a live DJ and just be able to introduce different vibes to that crowd and to that demographic, it gives people a place to really be able to come and feel safe. It's not no secret that Harrisburg's been, on the rise as far as different violence and gun crimes, etc. Everything going on downtown in certain places, but we have a prime location right across from the new federal building, and it's a beautiful place. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but you definitely need to check it out. With the weather getting nice, we got a patio out back. Come enjoy some food, enjoy some good views, and just great energy all around.
Are you going to have lunches there or
Yes.
things of that?
Yes, we actually did start opening up for lunch. You'll be seeing the website and everything updated soon. We haven't been open for lunch since COVID. I think it's around the last time that Crawdaddy's was open for lunch. So we just started lunch again. So you'll follow the social media pages, follow those, so that way you can kind of stay abreast as far as all of that goes. We're available for catering and private events, things along those lines as well. So, reach out.
So these are your lunch things, I'm assuming.
Correct.
And these are things that people can come in and get.
Absolutely.
And move out.
Absolutely. They can come in and get it on their lunch break. They can call and order it. They can just stop in, enjoy some vibes. They can have a drink. If it's if that's their cup of tea. And just, enjoy themselves.
So you said that your whole atmosphere is going to be different. What is the difference that I'll say the Crawdaddys that I know and the Crawdaddys which you young group is taking them?
I would say the Crawdaddys from that you would know, I would say was more so along the lines of like, I'm not gonna say like an old head spot, but
Okay.
you
You can say the old head spot if that's what you want to say.
It's an old head spot. So we're taking a little bit of old school mixing with the new. I don't know if y'all seen Drumline with Dr. Lee, but taking a little bit of your old school mixing with a little bit of our new school, and we're looking to create a unique vibe. I don't know if you've seen any of the video from our Caribbean night, but that's exactly what we did. We had some of the old head crowd as well as some of the new generation crowd, and they were vibing, doing the line dances and things like that, and just having an overall good time. And that's what it's about. It's about being able to get out, fellowship, vibe, and network as well.
Okay, so you pretty well said that the menu is pretty consistent. You're gonna turk it in later on.
Absolutely.
But people need to know. But right now, those who love the cuisine at Crawdaddy's, for the most part, it's pretty well the same.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay, so and the service there is how did you look at your service?
Absolutely. Well, since we started working with them last year, we've kind of started to diagnose that, how the service and everything is, as far as like working on getting the food out quicker, as far as like the kitchen and things like that go. Bartending, making sure that our bartenders are trained and know how to make all the drinks and everything on the menu, and also that the drinks can keep flowing. Because you don't want to be waiting on a drink for 30 minutes to an hour. You want to be able to keep things flowing. So we have some real seasoned bartenders that are in there now, especially the nights that we are doing the nightlife, because those are going to be the busiest nights. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those are the busiest nights of the week. So we added some some season to our staff. As well as we're going to be adding some seasoned people to the kitchen as well, to kind of just make sure everything's flowing.
So you would say this is the new emerging Crawdaddies with new owners.
Absolutely.
Young guys.
Yes, sir. Hungry.
Who has a vision.
Yes, sir.
And your vision is to make Crawdaddies one of the top restaurants in the Harrisburg area.
Absolutely. We're looking to bring consistency to the city as well. We're introducing like a date night, first and third Fridays starting off. We do live entertainment. So if anybody knows any musicians that are looking to perform and things like that, saxophone, violin, anything like that, we've reached out to different music stores where the teachers or instructors pick up random travel gigs, or the Hersey Orchestra, symphony, things along those lines. So we have some seasoned people coming in that are either instructors or performers, and they're going to be performing for you guys every first and third Friday from 7 to 9. So, come and enjoy the food, enjoy the ambiance, enjoy some music, and, just a nice little date night for you and the significant other, whoever that may be, and just come out, enjoy yourself, and see something a little bit more unique.
And I think that's where you want to go, to be the word unique, because you want to get the whole group in there, and I you want to get a different vibe in there, and you want to get all kinds of people that have been there before, and you want those people to come back, and you want new people to come.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes I would be honest with you, I have been places, and I've said to people about Crawdaddys, and they said they've never been. Now, for whatever reason, they've just never been. And so I just think it's a market out there that you've given you the opportunity to sell it to the new people.
Absolutely.
I think you showed the food there a few minutes ago. Could you put the food back on again,
Yes,
please, so that people can see this food? Because sometimes I think that people automatically lump it in a block and say, well, the food might be like this here, and so we're going to show you this fancy food here again.
Absolutely.
Look at this. I'm going to go real slow here so you can see this fancy food.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Got some gumbo, jambalaya, shrimp and grits, a little bit of everything to tickle your taste buds.
Okay, I'm going to show the food and the drinks. I'm going to give it a whole 2 minutes to let people go through nice and slow here, so they can see what you got. And those who haven't been, you got to give it a try.
Absolutely.
So you're saying that for those, come check you out.
Absolutely.
Because there's a new sheriff in town.
Yes, sir.
Or sheriffs.
Yes, sir.
2 new sheriffs in town.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you this here. Restaurants have been known to be a tough business.
Absolutely.
What made you guys decide that you wanted to tackle a restaurant?
Absolutely. Well, the main thing was, well, my business partner, he had owned and GM'd different restaurants in the past, so he already had the experience. So that was the main thing. It was, you know, if you can help make somebody else rich, why can't you try to do it for yourself? And that's the main thing. As far as like growing up where we grew up, you're always going to be presented with challenges, you know, especially being a black man in America. You're going to have challenges whether you foresee them or not. There's always going to be people that doubt you, but the only thing that really matters is your opinion of yourself. So if you think that you can do something, go do it, you know. You're always going to have naysayers. You're going to have people saying X, Y, Z, people that doubt you, people that try to slander your name. But at the end of the day, don't none of that matter. You know, with somebody else, I ain't going to say that because I forgot we on the air. But I'm not going to say it. You know,
But I have another question for you. And the question I have for you is,
yes, sir.
this is on my experience. Sometimes people label restaurants in a particular thing.
Absolutely.
Soul food or this here. And people sometimes don't get the overall experience
Yes.
of the food.
Yes.
So what are you going to do to let people out there know that you want everybody to come there and you got all kinds of food? I mean, as I showed it on here, it's different.
It's very diverse.
It's very diverse. So what is your plan to get people to understand three things? Diverse, the fact that you're up on 6th Street, because there are those who are scared of Harrisburg for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
So what are your things to try to help create a much more kinder, gentler atmosphere so that people can experience what you have to offer? Because too often they already formed an opinion without experience. So what is your plans on that kind of thing?
Marketing and advertisement. The more you market, the more you advertise. I feel like that whole narrative will start to change. We are actually in one of the safest parts of Harrisburg. We're in Midtown. So Midtown, as you know, is very diverse. The demographic is constantly changing. So like I said earlier, we are right across the street from the brand new federal building, right there on 6th and Riley. So there is so many people that walk to the Broad Street Market. We are a 2-minute walk from the Broad Street Market. So as far as that narrative, as far as like Harrisburg being dangerous and things like that, you won't find a safer environment. Crawdaddy's has been open 13 years. There's never been a problem. And we don't anticipate there being problems in the future at all. So, you know, our job is to make sure that our food is on point, our vibes are on point, and anything that we do as far as the nightlife, we have security and things like that as well to make sure that anything that could possibly happen is de-escalated and, you know, taken care of in the right manner. We don't want to see anything happen to anybody. We want to make sure that everybody's able to come out and continue to have a safe time with their family, with their friends, you know, with their loved ones. So that's what we aim for.
You're aiming for that, and I guess you want to appeal to those who are naysayers, and I guess you want to appeal to those that might have had a bad experience.
Absolutely.
One of my real issues is people can go to certain places and have a bad experience.
Absolutely.
And they will continue to give them
Absolutely.
a second chance, a third chance.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I call it as I see it, that's not always played fair.
Absolutely.
So, if you've had a problem before,
Yes.
go see him. He's
Absolutely.
new and improved.
Absolutely. We're going to try and make it right. You know, we're obviously in a transition period, so we're working on getting everything taken care of and making sure that all those previous concerns are addressed. there was a good brother that was there that actually coaches wrestling for Harrisburg High. He's like, hey man, just because somebody has one bad experience, that doesn't mean that you just stop supporting them. If Starbucks messes up your coffee, you might not go there for a day or two, but you're going to go back there and get your coffee. We expect everybody to, treat us the same way. If you have an experience and it was less than pleasant, come and address that with us, and we'll do our best to make sure that your next experience blows that first one out the water. So, all we can do is address and move on from that, but we do make it a point to make sure that we address every issue that is presented to us, and we want everybody to have the best of experiences with us.
So what else do you want my audience to know about you, your partner, your vision, and I guess your money now?
Basically, our goal in the future is just expansion. We're looking to build it up to a point where we can take it to, maybe across the river. We can take it to a different city. We can take it to, wherever it is that we want to take it to. Honestly, the sky's the limit. Once you get to a certain position as far as I guess obviously the accountant standpoint, when you're making that type of money where you can expand. But the goal is to really get there and just introduce the type of cuisine that we have to different areas. I've been out a lot of different places, and Crawdaddy is the only place I know that had the gator nuggets that I've really been at. So, just different things like that.
And so, let me ask you this here.
Mm-hmm.
I know in the past I've heard such words as East Shore, West Shore.
Mm-hmm.
They don't cross.
Mm-hmm.
What are you planning to do to make sure that you're going to go everywhere to get everybody to come to your restaurant?
Absolutely.
Because the perception has always been, the perception has always been, when it comes to restaurants, especially in minority neighborhoods, they define it as soul food or whatever they define it for.
Absolutely.
And so you're saying, hey, we got all of this, so I guess you're looking at crossing across the bridges to try to get those people to come there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to get across the river, network, do different events. We can provide catering. We have a travel liquor license as well, so we can come up, set up a mobile bar, things along those lines. So that whole narrative that the West Shore and the East Shore, people travel for food. I've seen people drive to Philly, take a day trip to Philly just for a cheesesteak. You know what I'm saying? So one thing that can bring us all together is some good cuisine. So, that's one thing that I'll say. The West Shore and the East Shore, that's 20 minutes, depending on where you're going on the West Shore. So for that to be the narrative, we're really trying to, break down that barrier and introduce everything that we have over there, and vice versa. I go over there to eat certain places as well. So, just being well versed overall.
Okay, so let me ask you this here. Okay, so you're saying that. So I'm giving you the opportunity to plead to the audience here, please come support me.
Absolutely.
So what would be your major buzzwords to the audience for that?
My major buzzwords to the audience would be diverse. Let's see. Let's think of some good ones.
Go ahead.
Let's think of
Take
some
your time.
good ones. Definitely diverse. Delicious. Delicious and unique. And energy. We put love in the food. You're going to come here. You're going to enjoy the vibe, the ambiance, the music that we have going on, the drinks that we have flowing, and just the energy of the staff. We're really honing in on the customer service aspect of things. We want everybody to have a VIP experience. So the goal in the restaurant business is to repeat business. So the more people come back, the more the staff recognizes them, the more they'll start to greet them by name and things like that. I've been challenging the staff to get to learn people's names and just, really make them feel like a VIP. Birthdays and things like that. Anytime we have birthday parties, we're really giving them like the VIP experience as well, and just making them feel all the love. I've went certain places celebrating my birthday, and it's pretty much it was okay. But when you go to Crawdaddy's, we want to make sure that if you're celebrating your birthday or you're celebrating a special event with us, not only is it special to you, it's special to us as well. So come out there, enjoy yourself, and build your own opinion. Build your own opinion. It's under new leadership. We're going in an amazing direction. We have an amazing vision, and we're just looking for people to share that vision with us and embrace that journey.
So your vision is to create your vision of what you want Crawdaddys to be, and not have people to get hung up on the name.
Absolutely.
So you want to tell people not get hung up on the name, but get hung up on the uniqueness of the two owners of it now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't get hung up on the name. Don't get hung up on the fact that people might label it as soul food, or people might label it as like just food in a minority area. Don't get hung up on the label. What we want you to focus on is the fact that we are diverse, we're unique, the food is delicious, and now we're veteran owned as well. So, excuse me, now we're veteran owned as well. So, come out, enjoy yourself, and really base your own opinion. It's a new year. It's a new year.
So you have a deck.
Yes.
You have a deck that people will be able to go out and sit in the back.
Yes.
In the deck, because it's getting warm out, and you want people to come out and relax.
Absolutely.
And from what I understand, I guess now you got these new fancy signature drinks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Want to name some of your new fancy drinks?
Absolutely. One of my favorite is the Voodoo Punch. That is delicious. That is delicious. Me personally, I'm not like a big drinker or anything like that. If I'm drinking, I'm usually a tequila pineapple kind of guy myself. Nothing too crazy. But, we have some mojitos. We have, and honestly, our bartenders get very creative as well. Like, they know the names of every drink almost known to man. So if it's something that you want, I'm almost positive they can make it. We done added some seasoned people in there. Obviously we got the mojitos, martinis, things along those lines. That patio that y'all see on the screen right there is an amazing view. You just get the chill out back. You get a nice little breeze. We also have a rooftop upstairs as well. And that's something that we're going to look to be doing, different events and day parties and things along those lines. Just to give, people something to really look forward to. So, it's a lot. It's a lot of beautiful scenery, especially when like nighttime comes. You got the fireworks and things along those lines that's going on right there on the riverfront. You get an amazing view from right there. So just follow the social media. Stay tuned for all the updates. We have an amazing team behind us, helping us out with the marketing, advertising, things along those lines. And we're looking to really hit the ground running.
Okay. Time is running, so in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to let you tell my audience whatever you want to tell them about you or the restaurant to get them to come in there.
Absolutely. Well, we are young. Me and my business partner, we are young and hungry. We're looking to really hit the ground running as far as everything goes. Develop different partnerships, develop different business relationships and things along those lines. Shout out to the Whitaker Center for partnering with us on certain things. Shout out to them. Shout out to all the sports organizations that have already talked to us about being able to give back in a way, and also be able to help us network in a way as well with the Kids Eat Free on Tuesdays. Once again, kids do eat free on Tuesdays. One kid's meal with the purchase of an adult entree. So that's also a way to give back into the community. Let's see.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, because you know, just,
I'm glad you clarified that
you got
because I
4
didn't want
kids,
one adult come
yeah,
and
one
they have
adult,
like 10
4
kids and they said, this is what you said.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you clarified.
Yeah,
Believe me,
I had to put that in
I'm
there.
telling you, clarify.
Absolutely.
Because somebody will hear this program and they'll say, kids eat free,
Yep.
and they're going to bring their 10 kids
Yes.
and just one of them.
Uh-huh.
So now you kind of like clarified.
Somebody already had commented on one of the flyers, like, all kids eat free with one. I said, no, 1 kid per 1 adult. So, you know,
You got me.
you know,
Hey, I'm just telling you because they will. I'm telling
they'll
you.
show up with 10.
I'm
They'll
helping you
show
out.
up with
Yeah.
10. No,
They gonna show up with 10
absolutely.
kids.
Absolutely. They'll
And they're
definitely
gonna
show up
want,
with 10.
right. I will say this. I wanted to give you the opportunity to come on and share your story.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
As I've said earlier on this broadcast here, is now it's going to become a lot more important for us to support organizations, support businesses, because when you look back at these federal cuts or where they're going to be or not be, then you're going to have to support one another.
Absolutely.
Because we're now seriously talking about entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And we better take a long look at entrepreneurship, but to develop a legacy down the road.
Absolutely.
So, Brother Crawford is stepping to the side, and then got you 2 young Turks there. And hopefully you'll build, and then as you build, then somebody else will come along. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have to develop our neighborhoods, we have to develop our communities, and we have to develop ourselves in terms of supporting one another. I don't think we have a choice. And ladies and gentlemen, let me be clear. It has nothing to do with racism or anything like that. We're now at a point of survival.
Yes.
And we have to go back. Our forefathers survived. So if they survived, I know that we can survive. We're just going to have to suck it up and work together,
Yes.
uniform, and stop being naysayers and saying what we can't do, but we need to talk about what we should do.
And we also need to get out of that crabs in a barrel mindset. That's what's really killing the community, in my opinion. It's much easier to drag somebody down than it is to lift them up. So, you know, try to take the hard route. It's more rewarding, it's more challenging, and you're gonna feel better about yourself. You know, there's a lot of people that see people doing great things and amazing things. They want to try to tarnish their name. They want to try to tarnish their legacy, tarnish their reputation, and don't gain anything from it. You know, just take the high road. That's all I can really.
That's fine, and that's fine, because my attitude is very simple.
Yeah.
We got to work together.
Absolutely.
We got to work together in terms of entrepreneurship. We got to work together in our communities, and we got to work.
Absolutely.
And I'm going back to this, and we're going to have to now start teaching our own history and stop waiting on somebody else to teach your history.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't think we have a choice, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that now we all going to have to work together. So in some ways, maybe this might be a good thing. We're going to have to work together in order for us to survive. And so I want to thank you for coming on. I'm looking forward to coming to Crawdaddys and for your new, unique experience.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're looking forward to having you.
Good. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And I'll see you in 2.
Thank you for joining the Richard Utley Show on the Voice 17104. We will be here on the Voice 17104 every first and third Tuesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Once again, thanks for viewing. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Richard Utley, and we welcome